In a world where ugly websites run rampant, one man tries to bring basic coding techniques to the masses in an attempt to eliminate ugly websites. So far we've covered 4 major topics, and if you haven't already, you need to watch these videos before continuing. Now we should be primed and ready to learn PHP. Alright, enough already. PHP stands for PHP Hypertext Preprocessor. Whoa, that's weird. The acronym has the name of the acronym inside of it? Apparently, yes. This is called a recursive acronym and was a naming convention used amongst early hackers. Like JavaScript, PHP is a scripting language used in web pages. But unlike JavaScript, PHP code is executed on the server's computer as opposed to the client's computer. This is called server-side scripting, and it's why we had to create a server before we could do this. Because of this, PHP plays a key role in logging information to databases, which we'll cover in our next video. Alright, enough jib-jab, let's get cracking. Open up your website, which should now be located in your server's www directory. The basic syntax of creating a PHP script is as follows. Open angle bracket, question mark PHP to start, and question mark closed angle bracket to end. And your PHP code goes in between these. For PHP to display something on a web page, you should use the echo command and then put your HTML code in quotes like this. And make sure you end it with a semicolon. Now if you want to save and preview it, make sure you save it as index.php first. Otherwise the PHP code won't execute. Now what's cool about the echo statement is that it accepts any HTML code. So we can put our welcome message here. Now to avoid quotation mark confusion, you want to change the HTML quotation marks to apostrophes instead. Then when you save and preview it, if you view the page's source code, you'll notice that you only see the HTML output and not the PHP. To create a variable in PHP, you want to start it out with a $sign. Then you can use variables in PHP the same as how we use them in JavaScript. Also, to compare this against JavaScript, if you want to concatenate strings together, you want to use a period instead of a plus sign. Conditional statements like an if statement are formatted pretty much the same way as they were in JavaScripting. So that's what it has in common with JavaScript, but what can you do with PHP that makes it unique? Well, if you want to make templates for your web pages, a huge advantage of PHP is that you can call HTML code from other files using the include command. For instance, on all of our pages we essentially have the exact same layout. The only thing that changes is this section. So what we can do is cut out everything from just below the body tag to the beginning div tag of our paragraph. Then we can paste this code into a new file and save it as header.php. Then back in our main page, in the parentheses, type header.php in quotes to include it. Save and preview your web page and you can see that the page looks exactly the same. So now let's do the same thing for the lower code. Just cut it from the end div tag of the paragraph to just above the closing body tag and paste it into a different file and save it as footer.php. Not only does this really clean up the code, but watch this. Let's make a new page and save it as welcome.php. Put in your normal HTML head and body tags and remember to link it to your CSS file. Now just use the PHP include to include the header and footer, and in the middle type whatever you want to display on the page. That's all you have to do. Now save it and view it and you'll see that your new page is the exact same theme as the main page. See how easy that was? Okay, now let's get to the even better stuff. Let's make a simple PHP only login script. Using the form that we've already got here, let's add a new field for a password. Now, so that PHP can reference these fields, we have to give them name attributes, and you can call them whatever you want. Then what we want to do is pass this information to a page so that we can check it. To call up another page, in the form header, type action equals and then the name of the page you want to send it to. Let's just use the welcome page that we just created. Then use the method attribute set to post and change the button type to submit, and this will pass the variables to the welcome page. Now save that and open up the welcome page so that we can create a check script. Let's start the PHP script, and we're going to do a very simple but not at all secure means of verification. Start by making a couple of variables. One for the password you want to use, and the other one set to the password that's sent from the form. You can call it like this using the name attribute that we gave it. Then let's make an if statement seeing if the password from the form is equal to the password we set. If it is, you can echo a welcome message calling the username. And if it's not, you can say that the wrong password was entered. Then save it and test it out with both the right and the wrong passwords. So what can you do once you log in? Well, first we need to store the login information so that we don't have to keep re-entering it. This can be done in two ways: cookies and sessions. In the interest of time, I'm going to only cover sessions, but you can visit the project's wiki page to find out how to do it with cookies. A session stores a user's information on the server temporarily so that the user can visit different pages on a website without having to re-log in every time. To start a session on a page, add this to the top of every page. Now you can start storing information to this session. In the welcome page, we can store the username and password to the session after the password has been checked by adding the session variable for user, or whatever you want to call it, set to the username post variable. And you can also make another one to store the password. Now with the user information stored in the session, you can add features that only logged in users can see. For instance, back in our index file, we can change the if statement in the greeting to say that if the session user variable is set, then display the username in the greeting, or else show the login form. You can use this algorithm to show and hide other secret information as well. When you test it, you should only see the is set information after you've successfully logged in. Now to log out, we need to create a new logout.php page using the same template format. But underneath the session start script, put session destroy. Then for the web page text, you can say something like you are now logged out. Now save it, and then we can put a link to it in our index page. That's pretty awesome. But there's one last thing we need to cover. Since incorporating PHP, our JavaScript validation no longer works. So let's fix that real quick. To make sure the JavaScript runs, remove the onClick attribute from the submit button and add an onSubmit attribute that waits for our clicked function to return a result. Now up in the JavaScript, if the field name is not empty, let's just say return true instead of the other stuff. And if it is empty, let's keep the error message and add return false. So now if it doesn't pass verification, it will return false and the submission stops and returns the error message. But if it passes verification, the submission continues and the information is checked. You should now know enough to go ahead and add a verification for the password field too. Like I said, this is just a basic insecure PHP login method. To make it more advanced and secure, we'll need to use MySQL databases, which we'll get into next week. Until then, you can find all the code for this tutorial at the project's wiki page. Alright, be sure to check out tinkernut.com on Google+, Facebook, and Twitter. That's it for this tutorial. For more, go to tinkernut.com.